You ever watch your entire future, the one you built brick by meticulous brick, walk out the door for a man with a bigger yacht? That was my 30th birthday. My fiancée, Cassandra, the woman I had spent 7 years planning a life with, a life built on mutual aspiration, modest goals, and a shared love for cheap wine and ambition, told me she was leaving. Not because we had drifted apart, not because of some irreparable fight, but because she had met someone more aligned with her financial destiny. His name was Derek. He was 45, the CEO of a mid-level tech firm, and yes, he was a millionaire. I was a struggling architect, maybe bringing in $60,000 a year. Cassandra said my potential just wasn't fast enough for her timeline. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Mark, you're a wonderful man, but I can't wait a decade for your dreams to pay off. I need security now. Derek offers that." She packed her bags and was gone within the hour. What Cassandra didn't know, what Derek didn't know, what nobody in my life outside of my immediate family knew, was that I was not a struggling architect. I was the secret heir to a fortune that dwarfed Derek's net worth by 100 times. Since my 21st birthday, my family had been concealing my $100 million inheritance, an amount that, thanks to careful management, had grown significantly, because of a bizarre, ancient family clause stating I had to prove I was capable of building a stable life and choosing a partner based on love, not money. The moment Cassandra walked out on my poverty, I was legally free. The curse was broken. The question I wrestled with wasn't if I should expose the truth, but how I should expose it, and whether I should use that colossal, hidden wealth to deliver the most calculated, humiliating lesson in true value Cassandra and Derek would ever receive. Tell me, if your fiancé dumped you for a mere millionaire while you were secretly worth $100 million, would you let her walk away quietly, or would you engineer a situation that publicly expose her greed? To understand the sheer magnitude of this secret and the twisted logic behind it, you need to know about the Thorne family. We weren't old money. We were old oil. My great-grandfather made a ridiculous fortune during the Texas oil booms, and my family, for 3 generations, has had a deep, almost paranoid aversion to the wealth corrupting the character of the heirs. My mother explained it to me on my 21st birthday, in the most peculiar meeting of my life. She sat me down, handed me a sealed envelope, and said, "Mark, you are an extremely wealthy man. Inheriting everything from your maternal grandmother, you have a trust worth $100 million. I was stunned. Then she explained the catch, the Thorne Prudence Clause. The entire fortune, the principal, the interest, the dividends, everything was locked away in an untouchable, blind trust managed by a corporate law firm. I could not access it, I could not mention it, and I could not claim it until 2 conditions were met. First, I had to successfully maintain a full-time career in a profession of my choosing for 10 years. Second, and this was the critical part, I had to be in a committed, long-term relationship that ended either in marriage or a definitive, non-amicable separation, proof that I had chosen a partner based on genuine human connection rather than the allure of money. If the partner stayed through 10 years of perceived struggle, the trust was unlocked. If they left because of the struggle, the trust was unlocked, and the family would know I dodged a gold digger. In either case, the date was my 31st birthday, or when the relationship ended, whichever came first. So, for 9 years, I lived the lie. I went to architecture school, endured the brutal starting years, and worked diligently at a firm that paid just enough to cover my modest rent and student loans. I bought a reliable but old car. I chose clothes that were nice but never flashy. I intentionally created a life of hard, working potential. The pressure was enormous, knowing that every financial struggle I talked about was a complete farce, and that I was sitting on a mountain of wealth. I met Cassandra in year 3 of this charade. She was ambitious, driven, and stunningly beautiful. She worked in marketing and was constantly talking about her 5-year plan for a luxury condo and annual European trips. I genuinely fell for her. Our relationship, I thought, was a test passed. She loved me for my dry wit, my kind nature, and my promising future as an architect. I believed she was the one. She knew I struggled, but she always said, "We'll get there together, Mark." We set our wedding date for the year I turned 31, the year the 10-year clause would be fulfilled. Everything changed 6 months ago. Cassandra landed a major marketing contract with Derek's tech firm. Derek was a smooth operator, ostentatiously wealthy, and completely open about his access to private jets, exclusive clubs, and high-end real estate. He was everything I pretended not to be. She started coming home late, buzzing with excitement, talking less about our future and more about the future Derek represented. The shift was glacial at first, then rapid. She stopped suggesting cheap dates and started complaining about my old car. The final blow came on my 30th birthday, a year shy of the full 10-year mark, and less than a year before our wedding. I had planned a modest dinner at our favorite Italian place. She showed up late, cold, and utterly detached. She didn't want to celebrate. She wanted to deliver the verdict, "Mark," she said, cutting through the silence, "Derek proposed to me last night. He bought me a 2-carat ring. He is already successful. I don't want to wait." She didn't even ask for an explanation or apologize for ending 7 years of commitment. She just saw a better financial offer and took it. Her final words, "You're a wonderful man, Mark, but I need security now," were the exact moment the Thorn Prudence Clause considered my relationship definitively non-amicable. The curse was broken, the clock stopped, the trust was legally mine. I didn't argue, I didn't beg. I watched her pack her 3 expensive suitcases and drive off in the taxi, probably heading straight to Derek's penthouse. The moment the door clicked shut, I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt a cold, liberating surge of power. I was free. I made 2 phone calls, one to the corporate law firm managing the trust, stating simply, "The Prudence Clause has been fulfilled," and another to my mother, who simply laughed and said, "Welcome to the world, son. It's about time." Within 24 hours, the full $100 million, which had grown to nearly $125 million thanks to a recent surge in tech stocks my grandmother's portfolio was heavily invested in, was legally mine, accessible, and completely clean. The struggling architect had instantly become one of the wealthiest men in the city, thanks to his ex-fiancée's greed. I resigned from my job, citing a sudden change in priorities, and began plotting. I knew Derek's tech company, Vertex Solutions, was currently struggling to secure its Series B funding, desperately needing an influx of capital to avoid a fire sale to a larger competitor. Derek, for all his flash, was highly leveraged, playing a high-risk game with investor money. Cassandra, meanwhile, was utterly convinced she was living her fairy tale, posting carefully curated photos of her expensive new life. Derek's yacht, the 2-carat ring, and veiled jabs at my stagnant life. My revenge wouldn't be dramatic or emotional. It would be entirely financial and surgical. It would expose the true cost of her decision to trade genuine love for perceived security. So that's the situation I was in. I had $100 $125 million in cash, total anonymity, and a cold-blooded desire to expose the greed of the woman who thought I was too poor for her. I could have simply bought a mansion, shown up at their wedding in a Bugatti, and waited for her inevitable regret. That would have been satisfying, but too quick. I wanted to destroy the entire facade of security she had chosen. I wanted to buy the yacht, but only after I'd destroyed the man who owned it. Before I tell you the methodical, chilling way I leveraged my inherited power to systematically dismantle Derek's company and financial security, forcing Cassandra to face the collapse of her destiny, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have prioritized discreet revenge that only they knew about? Or would you have gone for a public, spectacular financial takedown that exposed her as the ultimate gold digger? Seriously, let me know what choice you would have made right there. I chose the public, spectacular financial takedown. I hired a team of high-powered financial consultants and M&A specialists. My instructions were simple: secure an introduction to Derek's biggest rival, a massive, publicly traded firm called Global Net. Then, initiate a hostile, aggressive takeover of Vertex Solutions, making sure I was the anonymous, primary financier behind the bid. Global Net, eager to eliminate competition, loved the idea. They set the wheels in motion. My team began quietly accumulating significant debt notes held by Derek's company, turning the screw slowly. Derek, already struggling with his Series B, suddenly found himself under immense pressure from creditors he didn't recognize. Cassandra, meanwhile, was oblivious, too busy planning her high society engagement party. The event was scheduled for 3 months after she left me a perfect timeline. The engagement party was held at a prestigious, exclusive country club, filled with Derek's investors, business partners, and all of Cassandra's climbing friends. I wasn't invited, of course, but I was the man pulling the strings of the entire event. The party was in full swing when the first domino fell. A team of discreet, heavily armed security guards and a visibly upset bank representative approached Derek in the middle of his celebratory speech. They served him legal papers. The sound system was cut immediately. The atmosphere shifted from champagne-fueled celebration to absolute, tense silence. The legal papers were a declaration of immediate financial default on several key loans, now owned by an anonymous private holding company, my holding company. The paper trail, managed by my team, was clean, legal, and ironclad. Derek, sweating profusely in his expensive tux, tried to argue, claiming bankruptcy protections. But the bank representative calmly informed him that the primary investor behind the hostile takeover bid, a bid that would immediately bankrupt Derek, wipe out his equity, and strip him of his CEO title, had just been confirmed. The anonymous buyer was Global Net, financed by a private, anonymous party that had just paid off all his leverage and was now controlling the entire deal. At that exact moment, Cassandra, looking stunning in a designer dress and wearing her huge engagement ring, rushed over to him, distraught. "Derek, what is going on? What about Vertex? What about our condo?" Derek grabbed her arm, his polished veneer crumbling completely. "It's ruined, Cass, the company. We're losing everything. Who is this anonymous buyer?" This was my cue. I had arranged for a very specific, final delivery. A young, impeccably dressed man, completely unknown to everyone, walked calmly onto the patio, holding a small, silver box. He walked straight up to Cassandra, ignoring Derek's frantic protests. "Ms. Harrison," the man stated clearly, his voice audible in the stunned silence. "Mr. Mark sends his regards." He handed the silver box to Cassandra. She looked confused, then opened it. Inside, nestled on black velvet, was the modest, simple silver engagement ring I had given her 7 years ago. The one she had carelessly tossed into a drawer when Derek proposed. The man continued, "Mr. Mark said to tell you he is very sorry about the sudden lack of security. He also wishes you to know that the anonymous investor who acquired 80% of Global Net, and is, therefore, the new owner of Vertex Solutions and every asset attached to it, including the lease on this country club and Mr. Derek's yacht, is the same struggling architect you left 6 months ago." The silence in the room was deafening. Cassandra's face went white, then a furious, blotchy red. She looked from the modest silver ring in her hand to the 2-carat diamond on her finger, realizing the astronomical mistake she had made. Derek, hearing the name Mark, staggered backward, the pieces of the puzzle clicking into place with sickening clarity. The anonymous billionaire who had just ruined him, the man who owned his yacht and his company, was the pathetic architect whose fiancé he had stolen. Cassandra, completely exposed, began to cry, not tears of heartbreak, but tears of horrifying, monumental greed and loss. The party dissolved into chaos. Derek was publicly ruined, facing massive debt and the complete loss of his status. Cassandra was exposed as a shallow gold digger who traded a $125 million fortune for a failed millionaire who was now bankrupt. They broke up within the week. I didn't want the 2-carat ring back, but I did buy Derek's yacht, which I promptly renamed the Prudence Clause *. I never spoke to Cassandra again, but I made sure my full story, the Thorne family trust, the 9 years of the lie, and her decisive role in my liberation, leaked to the financial press. It served as a cautionary tale and ensured her social and professional life in that city was permanently over. I am now Mark Thorne, a private investor, enjoying the life my family's unique test prepared me for. I travel, I design for charity, and I live with a profound sense of self-worth. The greatest revenge was not the money. It was the fact that Cassandra's greed, the very trait she chased, was the instrument of her own and Derek's destruction, and the catalyst for my freedom. My family knew what they were doing. The test worked. I found a partner eventually, a kind, brilliant woman who only knew me as a successful, humble philanthropist. She passed the test without ever knowing there was one. I look back now and know I made the right choice. My public financial takedown wasn't about spite. It was about delivering an unforgettable lesson on the true cost of moral bankruptcy. Like this video if you think the struggling architect delivered the perfect, justified financial karma. Subscribe for more stories about hidden fortunes and billionaire revenge. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. Do you think I went too far with the public exposure? Or was it the only way to truly prove the point? I'll see you all in the next story.